Hi and welcome to Who Really Cares, a podcast brought to you by Carers in Bedfordshire. We're a charity that support unpaid carers. That's people who look after somebody who couldn't manage without them and they don't get paid for it. And they often go unrecognised, and we're here to change that. Now, unpaid carers are everywhere. Literally everywhere, in every street, in every office, in every shop, and in every classroom you will find unpaid carers. And that's that last space that we're focusing on today, the classroom. There are young carers across Britain who sit in a classroom every day worried about some of their responsibilities at home. And they need support. They are taking on a lot more responsibility than their peers in some cases. They don't get a break from it in other cases. And statistics show that in every classroom there are at least 4 young carers who go home to added responsibility. And this can have an impact on their schoolwork. It can have an impact on their social life. It can have an impact on their prospects and their future. And that's why they need support. But there are still schools out there that claim that they have no young carers on their books. And that just isn't the case. The case is that they haven't been identified because it's not something you go to school and you talk about often. But this is what we're trying to change. That's why today I'm talking to Sheila Durham from Caldwell Primary School. Sheila is amazing. She has identified loads of young carers in her school, and she offers them an enormous level of support. It's incredible. And she is, to me, an example of things being done right. They look after these children as soon as they are identified. They help them as they transition through the school and then on to other schools. So sit back and enjoy this informative and inspirational chat with Sheila. Sheila, thank you so much for joining me today and taking time out of your busy schedule. I know that teachers of your standing are very busy, so thank you. You've had an exciting week, I understand. We'll get on to that. But first of all, I wanted to find out a little bit more about you. Your young carers lead at Caldwell Primary. Tell me a little bit about your history and how you ended up with that role.
Okay, so thank you for having me, firstly. But yeah, so my school history, I've been working with children and families for the past 25 years. So 2020, I started volunteering in my daughter's school, and it all led from there. I didn't have any experience as of a carer, of being a young carer growing up in all of that time. It was only when I joined Caldwell in 2016 that it became apparent to me that there was a role for young carers, and fully understanding that role. That was when one of our children, he was 4 years old, and he was calling the ambulance when his mum had a seizure. So, and that made us think, is there support out there for him, and all of these things. And that's how,
So that was just a single incident that sort of alerted you to...
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting because from our perspective, we're obviously trying to educate people in school settings and things to be aware of young carers, and especially from your perspective that you haven't got any caring experience yourself. It's interesting to us that you identified that yourself. So it's interesting to hear about that. What other things would somebody notice about young carers if they weren't aware, do you think?
I just think, if they're saying that they're doing lots of things at home to help mums and dads, brothers and sisters, all those things that make them young carers, but they're not fully aware of. If we're working with a family and we notice these things in school, their attendance might be low because they can't always get to school on time, or their parent can't get them to school. They might not be doing all their homework because they haven't got the family support at home to do that, because a sibling might have a need, so they take more of mum or dad's time. All of those things.
And so
we look out for.
And so this single incident with the boy, calling the ambulance. So that sparked the thought in your mind, is there enough support? So what did you do next, sort of thing? Like, what did you think would be the best course of action?
So the first thing we did a social story to help him know what to do. So because he was only 4, it's quite a big responsibility. So we did a social story and met with mum and dad. She had a few seizures on school site, so we were aware and were able to help. We then registered to Carers in Bedfordshire, who I was aware of prior to that. And they offered young carers support for the family. But then we also, from there, that's where our club started and our reason to go for the Young Carers Award and identifying more young carers within school.
And so how do you go about doing that, like identifying them? Do you ask them directly or do you wait to identify them and then approach?
We would know our families. So when we do know our families, we say we think you may be, and we'll approach that with parents. But we also do whole school assemblies. We do staff training. We have bits on our school website for parents to have a look at and the children. We speak to Carers in Bedfordshire. They come in. We do all sorts of things to help identify. Lots of our children, since we've had our club running in school, and it's been since 2017, our weekly club, they want to come. They want to be a young carer. They want that time. And we have a chat with them. We'll send home a flyer to parents, have a chat with parents if we think they are, and we take it from there and put the support in from Carers in Bedfordshire. They then get invited to my weekly club that we run in school during a lunchtime, and we take it all from there.
And so, and obviously you're, I mean, in a primary school, I think it's different. I've spoken to people who are young carer leads and things in senior schools or upper schools. And obviously the children are at a different stage in their growth and development and socially. Do you find that the children are proud of themselves being young carers, or is it because in the upper schools sometimes there's reticence, they don't want to be seen as young carers? Do you find that issue in primary school or not so much?
Not at all. They love being young carers. They love to say, oh, I'm a young carer, and some of them are a bit more hesitant about to talk about why, and we'd never push them to talk about why they're young carers. But others will share the reason why. It could be that their siblings got a diagnosis or a need, or their mum and dad has got a need or a disability. It depends on each child. They're all individual. So, but they're very proud of being young carers. And I think because we celebrate it in school, they just are happy to join. And like I said earlier, lots of children want to join and be in Young Carers Club. So from that, I've also started a wellbeing club several years ago for the children that aren't young carers but would like that little bit of extra time. So
that's great. Yeah. That's brilliant. So it's like almost like they want to, but they don't quite qualify.
Qualify, yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. And so with this weekly club, what kind of things do you do? Like, do you just let them free play, or do you organise activities?
We do a bit of both. We ask what they want. On a wet day, we use our hub building, and we have young carers games. I have games and activities that are just theirs, so no one else gets to play with those and use those. So they had through the winter they love chess, but then we also we had a big Christmas puzzle, and we roll it up each time and then bring it back out, and they just add a few more bits too. Through the summer months, we spend a lot of time in our school garden, so we're doing lots of planting. Last week we were planting potatoes, and we've also put in some onions. They've done sunflowers, and we tend to those. We water those during the sessions, and that's also joined in with a Young Marketeers programme that I'm doing, and that's a group of young carers that are enrolled on that. And we will go to market in July to sell our fruit and vegetables to the public that we've made.
Oh my gosh. So you actually take them off Is that off-site?
Off-site, yeah, yes,
Wow,
yeah,
that is
yes,
exciting. No
yeah.
wonder everyone wants to join your club.
Absolutely. We made the press last year and we were on the news,
Oh,
and the children were
no way.
very excited when I shared that around school.
Oh my gosh, Sheila,
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
built something really, really big, out of something
absolutely.
out of something really small.
Yes,
You've done that. And so do you consider it just like respite for them, like a special little treat because of all the responsibilities they have at home? Or
yeah,
do you consider it like more of a support, like if they're having issues with some of the responsibilities, do you
yeah.
offer support or do you just refer to somebody else or
It's
what's
both. I mean,
yeah.
we are just respite for them so that they
Mm,
know that there's someone they can talk to, and all that they know that their teachers in class also are aware of their caring role. But we also, if they need a little bit of extra support, then we put that in place. So we've got our wellbeing lead in school. So she might do some one-to-one sessions,
mm,
or in the past we've called on carers in Bedfordshire, and a young carers support worker has come out and worked one-to-one with the child. But
mm.
we've also had, so we last summer we ran, I think it was 8 to 10 sessions, and it was a group piece of work over lunchtime where they were looking at all different emotions through a book. They were reading a book and doing an activity on it. So I think we had 12 children attend that within school at lunchtime. So looking at
Wow.
all
So
different emotions and things. So yeah, it varies. Again, it's
yeah,
child to child, need to need. So
that really is incredible. That really is incredible. And a lot of we know that a lot of young people consider school almost a respite, especially if their responsibilities are quite heavy at home.
yeah.
And so actually being in school is respite in itself.
Yes.
Um, and obviously, school children have a lot of holidays. So what do you give them things or points of contact or help during the holidays at all? Are you able to do that? Or what do you suggest to them if they are out of school?
So out of school, we would also link them to the carers in Bedfordshire, the activities they do. So
Mm,
there's in the summer holidays, there's farm trips, zoo
mm,
trips, or they do a monthly session at a soft play centre that the children can be signed up for by their parents. They do at Christmas, they've done a pantomime, so that's all through carers in Bedfordshire and trips out. We also young carers automatically, if they're not entitled to the HAF programme, which is activities for children who are entitled to free school meals. Now, if our children aren't entitled to that, as a young carer, that gives them that access to have free activities, which includes a meal at lunchtime. So I refer our young children, if they're not automatically on free school meals and
mm.
entitled to that, I speak to parents and say, are you happy for me to refer your child? And then they can pick 4 activity sessions through the holidays. That happens at Easter, at summer, and I believe May half term.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
there's
So they're
lots.
not left without some sort of respite during those long holidays.
No, not at all, not at all.
That's brilliant. Um, I cannot believe the sort of level of support you're offering, Sheila. Like the 1-to-1, you're looking at every child on an individual basis. I think
Yes.
that's exceptional. And do you ever find that parents are sometimes let me go back. Sometimes we've found that certain parents, particularly cultural differences, sometimes are reticent about calling their children young carers because there's a fear there around social services.
Mm.
Have you encountered that?
Not so much for regarding social services. I don't believe it's initially a few parents have said, "Oh, why do you think that they're a young carer?" When we've broached that subject, or and we've explained it's we understand that there's they've got an extra role, they're supporting because of this. And when you sit down and chat to the parents and talk it through, they generally get a good understanding. So, and are then open to that support. Some may choose that they don't want to register with carers in Bedfordshire, but then the children are still recognised by us as a school as a young carer, and they come to our weekly club, and they get that support that way. So
yeah, we've just found that sometimes there is a fear that
yes.
if I say that my child is being affected, sort of negatively at home, then that makes us look like bad parents, or my child isn't safe, or things like that, which then they just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I
think it's just reassuring them that we recognise young carers, and there's a lot of young carers out there, and it's about giving them the extra support, because we understand it's hard being a parent. No one's got the book that gives you exactly every answer that you need. But, if we can give the children a little bit of extra support because mum struggles maybe with her mental health, or there's a history of substance abuse, so that things can be difficult on some days, then we can step in and say, well, we can support. That's fine. We can make sure they're okay. We'd do that with any child, whether they were a young carer or not. So, yeah, it's just reassurance that we're there. We're with them. It's a journey we're taking together. It's never... we're not worried your child's safe. Obviously, if they're not safe, we'll talk that through with parents and refer to the right services we need to in that case. But
and that's a whole different conversation.
Different conversation.
Yeah. So you could you confidently say that you've identified every young carer in your school?
I don't good question. Yeah, I'd love to say yes, but actually you just don't know, because things change for families. So we advertise young carers to all the children in assembly and all those times, and then children will come and say, I think I'm a young carer, and they might say, I say, what makes you think you are? And they'll say, I wash up for my mummy. I said, well, lots of children wash up for their mummy, and then that's when we'll say, have a chat with mum. I'll come and have a chat with mum as well, and I'll see her when she picks you up, and we'll take it from there.
I like that. Because there is a fine line sometimes between just doing chores as you should as a child and actually having care responsibilities. And that is a fine line, because some children who are young carers and are actually young carers, they do chores that other children do, but there is an underlying thing there. And it is sometimes a grey area. I understand.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant. And you have I alluded to your exciting week, because you went somewhere that I've never been, and most people have never been yesterday. Where was that, Sheila?
So yesterday I was invited to Buckingham Palace garden party to spend the afternoon with the King and Queen, Charles and Camilla, as a reward for all my hard work in school that I do. It was a themed day for people in education and skills, and I was nominated by our CEO of our trust, Heart Academies Trust. So it was a fabulous day.
You had lovely weather for it as well.
It was beautiful.
And so tell me, did you actually get to speak to the King and Queen?
I didn't get to speak to them, no. We saw from afar. It was very, very busy. It was a beautiful day. Everyone looked absolutely stunning. Everyone was in their finery, all dressed up. But we got to go in the palace. We got to walk in the garden. We had tea and cake. I took my daughter with me as my plus one.
Yeah.
And it was just beautiful. There was bands playing. The soldiers were there. It was just fabulous, the amount of people that are doing things in education and skills for families and children. It was just amazing. I spoke to one gentleman, and we were saying, well, this is a bit different, isn't it? Because obviously yesterday was SATS exams and GCSE maths exams yesterday. And we joked we should wear these fine clothes every day when we go to school. And he said, well, maybe not tomorrow. I'm teaching PE. I said, yeah, no, and I'll probably be gardening. So, yeah, it was just lovely.
Well, what's really nice about that as well is that you were nominated for your good work in
absolutely,
school by senior people. So you obviously feel very supported by your senior leaders and
absolutely, yes. I mean, the senior leadership in school is fabulous, but also our trust, our governing board for the trust and school. I'm on our school governors board. It's just fabulous. So,
so have they always been? I mean, did you have to go to them and say, look, I feel that there's this need in school. I feel there's a lack here. Can I go ahead? Or did it come from them and their directive?
No, I think it's sort of like a joint thing. I work very closely with our inclusion manager, who is on our senior leadership team. And when the child I talked about right at the beginning, when we thought, young carers, and starting this group, we took that role together and started the club. We did a policy, we put an action plan in place, and it's all just come from there. So yeah, and obviously now young carers are counted. That it's all part of the school census that we do. So young carers is now recorded. And from the government point of view, so as well. So yeah, we're quite ahead of the game, I think, of that in that respect. So
I think you really are. I mean, because we've spoken to some schools who claim that they have no young carers enrolled.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's almost statistically impossible, given that research shows that there's like 1 in 4 or something like that. In every classroom, there's 4 young carers at least.
Yes.
So it's impossible that you can't have young carers, but some schools swear blind that they don't. So what would you say to somebody in a senior leadership team? So say you left Caldwell Primary.
Yes.
I'm not saying that you will, but say you did, and you landed in another school, and they said, no, we don't have that here. What would you say to them?
I'd be saying straight away, well, let's have a look at your children that you've got in school, their siblings, their parents, and there is. No, I mean, I've got 43 at the moment in Caldwell that I'm aware of. So 43 young carers.
And that's out of how many students enrolled?
420. So
yeah, so that's that's about right. I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you think that enough is being done? I mean, or do you see room for growth, or are you at the limit of what you can do for them, do you think?
No, I think there's always room for growth. So there's always room for growth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's time, but I have that time. I'm given time to do that. And I think our club is so well oiled here. It just happens. It naturally happens. So, there's always going to be room for growth. But I would work with the other agencies and carers and beds. If we needed more things, we could approach them. I could go to our senior leadership team and say, oh, could we try this and could we do that? So it just happens. And more importantly, I speak to the young carers and ask what they want. So, and what they would like. And we recently did, for Young Carers Action Day, we did a breakfast for our young carers, but also their parents. So we opened up, invited them all in for breakfast, had a fabulous morning, and they were telling me what cereal they wanted, what for breakfast. So that, we asked them down to those things, what you would like to do, what would you like to have. Yeah. So
it's like, no wonder you're winning schools awards, because the level of service is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally is 5-star. I really just take my hat off to you, Sheila, because it's you know what, it all comes down to energy and somebody putting their energy in the right place.
It does. Yeah.
You've got a lot of energy, or well, maybe you don't have more energy than other people, but you are focusing that energy towards young carers. And that's,
I sleep well at night, put it that way.
I bet.
Because young carers is a small part of my role, so it really is. But it's important. Very important.
It is important, and I really respect that about you, that you identified that and went with it, and also that you're not doing it half-heartedly. Like, I mean, a lot of people sort of do things, go, oh yeah, we'll do that and we'll do a bit of that, but then we'll say we don't have enough money, or we'll say we don't have enough time, and then it's sort of.
It's not money that's needed, it's just time. It's just time. So you could do a young carers group in school with the time of a staff member, but yes, I suppose that does take the money.
Yeah, well, I suppose
An hour,
time is money in certain ways.
Yeah,
I was going to say you're the first person ever to say, "Oh, it's not about money."
I think because we've been going so long, we don't need money to keep going with what we're doing. If we were to expand, we would maybe need another staff member. But our young carers get what they need here, and we also. I'm starting the discussions with transitions for our Year 6 children. So I've got a meeting actually this afternoon with one of our secondary schools, and that is to discuss our young carers and family support that I'm working with, that she will take over for the children that go
That's
there.
exactly leading me on to what was my next question.
There you go.
What happens when they leave? Because obviously going from Year 6 into Year 7, it's a big time for children anyway. It's a massive change and a step up, and they're obviously leaving you to a whole nother place.
Yeah.
So what do you do in terms of that? Are you connected with a bunch of feeder? You a feeder school to a bunch of other, and so do you have transitions in place in all of your feeder schools?
Absolutely. And we obviously, my role is also safeguarding and parent support. So we have a meeting where we discuss all of the children that go into that school, and we will mention that every young carer, and if they can go to Young Carers Club. If the family need extra support from the family support worker, that's all transitioned over. So.
And are all your schools that you feed into, do they have existing young carer programs?
Yes.
This is fantastic. Well, we can pack up. Our work is done.
No, never. There's always something to do.
Yeah, there is. You're right. There is always something to do. But what is so encouraging is that it's working. Everything that we've put in place and everything that we do here at Carers in Bedfordshire and everything that you're doing, it's working. It's now it's a matter of just spreading the word, which is why we're talking today, and getting other people on board and other schools and other providers on board and say, this is actually really important and this really, really matters. So I'm so encouraged talking to you, because so often we hear that, oh, no, there's nothing available. My child gets nothing, blah, blah, blah. So it's encouraging to hear that it is all happening.
Yes. It's out there. You've just got to go and find it.
Yeah. I mean, I think, people often say things like, well, it's a postcode lottery. We don't live in the right area. That we often hear things like, because at Carers in Bedfordshire, we do offer a comprehensive support. But if you live just over the border and you can't access our services, that's a postcode lottery. You're literally one street away. And I guess it's the same with the school system. You're out of catchment. You end up at a different school that has no provision for young carers, and that's also a postcode lottery. And that would be the best thing to get rid of, that everybody's receiving the same support. Obviously not everybody's going to have the joy of Sheila's energy at Caldwell, because not everybody can have that.
No, absolutely. And that is that's where it comes down to time and money, isn't it? So of giving, those schools need to give their staff or a member of their staff the support for that. So
the support, and if they don't have that energy and will, like you have found within yourself, but then the guidance to go, okay, this is what we need to set up. We want you to lead it. We want you to do this, and this, and this, and that's where it needs to come from. Because if it isn't coming from a member of staff, and Caldwell were fortunate that you were there and ready and willing and able to do it. But if there is a situation where there isn't a staff member like that, then it needs to come from the senior leadership team and say, this is what we need to achieve. And that's why I wanted to talk to you today, because it's an example of somebody who's doing it and doing it really, really well, and telling me that it doesn't cost a lot of money and that it's a completely viable thing to offer.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to help anyone to to have a chat with anyone that needs that support or would like that support and is unsure how, come and see our club and come and see what we're doing. That's not a problem. Anyone. So just welcome to come along.
That is fantastic. And what plans do you have for the future? Do you have, aside from your sending off your year sixes into a well-established system and all of that, what else have you got on the horizon? Any more trips to palaces or anything like that?
Not this week, no. Not this week. So I am off to see a comedy show tonight, personally.
Well, you deserve it.
Yeah. Other than that, it's just when I work so hard and speak to lots of people in the week, when I go home at a weekend, I like to just relax with my other half, my cats, a good book, and relax. But yeah.
And then sleep peacefully because your work is done.
Sleep peacefully. Yeah, sleep peacefully. So, and then start afresh every Monday. So,
that's brilliant. Well, Caldwell is happy, is so lucky to have you, Sheila, and as so are the children. So I commend you for all your hard work, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. And we'll take you up on that offer of showing other people how it's done.
Absolutely.
That would be super. Thank you so much for talking to me and explaining all about the good work. And we'll see you at the palace.
But you're only allowed to go once to the garden party.
Well,
once in a lifetime.
You won't be there when I'm there then.
That's lovely. Thank you.
No problem. Isn't she inspirational? I would like other schools to use her as an example of how to get things done. And I know her energy will be hard to match, but I don't know, let's see what we can do. Wouldn't it be great if all young carers in our community were supported the way Sheila supports hers? Next episode, I will be talking to a young carers lead in an upper school. So that's a little bit different, different challenges, but another great and inspiring episode. So make sure you look out for that one. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and those around you. I'm Nikki. Thank you so much for listening.